This video has the updated best keyboard and mouse Fortnite settings for this chapter, whether you're plugged into a console or you play on a PC. And let's go ahead and jump right into it. Now, your sensitivities are obviously very important, but don't undervalue how important all the rest of your settings are as well. All of these play into making you the best player possible. Starting with your video tab, which will be different for PC and console players, but in general, I always play on full screen. Most pros today aren't using any sort of stress res like they used to. They're just playing on the default 1920 by 1080. Most pros also still cap their FPS at 240 because you can go to 360, but on 360, most pros can't hold this endgame, so that causes stutters. That's why still, even in 2025, while watching most pros, you'll notice they only have 240 FPS. If you're on a PC, performance mode is definitely the best. Brightness definitely go a little higher than 100%, so like 120 to 130%. Colorblind mode, I just leave this on the default. On performance mode, everything is lower off except for view distance, and then if you want to show FPS, you turn this on. For the audio tab, down here, I have sound quality set to high, I have 3D headphones turned off, and I have visualized sound effects turned on. Those three are important settings, and the rest of these are kind of just whatever you prefer. Same thing with the communications tab. This is all just about your voice chat. Then we get to the game tab. Then we have toggle sprint turned on, auto open doors turned on, hold the swap pickup turned on, auto pickup weapons turned off because on keyboard and mouse, you obviously have your scroll wheel, which is so much better than auto pickup. This is actually a brand new setting for the pump and dump gun that isn't actually in the game yet, but when it does come to the game, you want to make sure to have this turned on. For preferred item slots, I've actually turned this off recently, and I think I've noticed that a lot of pros don't use preferred item slots because it can throw them off. And then every game you just manually adjust your loadout. I honestly think that's better now. Reset building twist turned on, turbo building turned on. Simple edit, if you're playing on a mouse and keyboard, chances are simple edit is not going to benefit you. I found that building and especially editing is so much easier to learn and get good on mouse and keyboard. So I really think simple edit is more of a setting for like old gen consoles if you're playing on controller or even like Nintendo Switch. It's not really meant for PC mouse and keyboard players. Disable pre-edit options. This kind of depends on your ping. If you like using pre-edits and you're on low ping like under 10, then go ahead and use pre-edits. Personally, even though I have lower ping, I rarely use pre-edits, and honestly they just mess me up more than they help me, so I just disable my pre-edits and I like it more that way. With auto-confirm edits on mouse and keyboard, both is not really necessary, but to have auto-confirm on your edits, I think just makes editing way easier and way faster because instead of clicking 2 buttons to edit, you're only clicking 1. Most pros today, like even the fastest editor you can think of like Peterbot, use auto-confirm edits turned on because again, it's just faster and easy. Then you have the extra game options. This is kind of just whatever you prefer down here. Then we have the game UI tab. Again, this is all just personal preference. You can change how big your HUD scale is, how big your damage numbers are. You can change all of this, but once you get below the HUD scale, I wouldn't change any of these settings except for this one and this one. These two are settings to better see your ping, but the rest of these are very important information that you need on your screen, so I wouldn't mess with any of those. The tab over from that is the touch and motion, which is gyro aiming, which doesn't work for keyboard and mouse, so we don't need that turned on. And now this is my favorite sensitivity for the mouse, but if you want a proven sense from the pros, I just found the most updated mouse sensitivity for the top 5 pros in the world right now. And just a quick sponsor that helped me bring you guys these settings. This is a new gaming app that I just found, and it's been awesome. It has over 20 exciting and unique games, and you get a $1 sign-up bonus to get you started. So you can choose your favorite game, compete with real players, and win real money. You can instantly withdraw your winnings via PayPal. And even if you're not really into gaming, you can earn $2 for every successful referral. So if you want to get in on this, download the app from the link in the description below and you get a $1 sign-up bonus. And funny enough, the same sense that I use is exactly what Peterbot uses on 800 DPI. So these are Peterbot's exact mouse settings. This one is Poyo's exact mouse settings on, again, an 800 DPI. This one is Vico's exact mouse settings, again, another 800 DPI. This one is Murstache's mouse settings, and Murstache plays on a 1600 DPI. And then this one is Muzz's mouse settings, and he also plays on a 1600 DPI. And one thing you have to make sure to do if you're copying these pro settings is set your mouse to the same DPI that they use. And if you don't know, your DPI isn't actually in your Fortnite settings. DPI is a setting within your mouse itself that determines how fast the mouse moves. So like if you were to copy Peterbot's sense but only added 200 DPI, the sense is going to be way too slow, and it's not what Peterbot even uses. If you copy Peterbot's sense but have a 1600 DPI, that is again way too fast, and the sense won't be at all what Peterbots is. So if you play on a PC, chances are your mouse actually has its own dedicated software like this, where you can go in and manually change your DPI. Or if you play on a console, you might have to find like a laptop to plug your mouse into to change the DPI, or just look up the default DPI for your mouse. I think typically the mouse defaults to 1600 DPI, and there's usually a button on it to switch between DPI. So look up your mouse's user manual, make sure you have the DPI set, and only then you should copy these pro settings, otherwise it'll be useless. But these 5 players whose mouse settings I just showed you, all 5 of them either got the top damage or the top amount of elims in the recent FNCS in their specific region. They're all known to have some of the best settings in the game, and all of their sensitivities are incredibly similar to each other. So if the top 5 pros in the world are using almost the same exact mouse sense, you should probably copy to be somewhere near that. And to go with the exact sensitivities, the zoom scaling they all use is legacy. They all have use custom diagonals turned on. They all use these exact 3 values. They all use exactly 74 on forward diagonal angle, exactly 90 on strafe, and exactly 135 on backward diagonal angle. Then below that, you just have like driving settings. Now, if you're newer to keyboard and mouse, I have 3 key tips you can use to get way better, way faster. All you have to do is listen. Tip number 1 is to learn good keybinds the first time. I see a lot of keyboard and mouse beginners just set their binds to whatever they think is comfortable, but the problem is I can guarantee those binds are not optimal. Optimal binds have been studied to allow you to move the freest and the fastest, and certain binds can make you way worse. So I believe that instead of learning bad binds as a beginner and then eventually switching to good binds so you can get better, instead of wasting all that time completely relearning new binds, I suggest that in the beginning, when you're first learning, you should research what binds pros use and then copy those good binds from the start, because that'll save you so much time. And if you don't know whose binds to try out, use those same 5 players who I just showed you the mouse sensitivity of. So Peterbot, Poyo, Vico, Murstache, and Muzz. Those are 5 of the best keyboard mouse players with the best mechanics. So if you can copy their binds and get good on their binds, they're obviously proven to work at even the highest level. Tip number 2 for keyboard and mouse players is to make sure your setup is comfortable. One of the first things you typically notice when switching to keyboard and mouse is that in the beginning, it does not feel comfortable. Like the pro player just recently switched from controller to keyboard, and he even said his wrist was hurting after around the first 2 days. I remember my left wrist and fingers were actually hurting the first couple days I was learning keyboard and mouse. And most players that have learned keyboard and mouse that I've talked to also had that issue. For some of them, it took weeks to figure out how to get comfortable, but studies have shown that the best posture is to follow these rules with your upper body. They say that the size of your monitor is how far it should be from your face, so a 27-inch monitor should be no more than 27 inches away from your face. They say that the center of your monitor should be slightly lower than eye level, and then your monitor should be slightly tilted up. Then these rules are key to making sure your shoulders won't hurt when playing keyboard and mouse, which I also experience. You should use these rules so your legs don't hurt, these rules for your back, these rules for your hips and thighs, and these are some even extra useful recommendations. Now, remembering to follow all of these rules all the time is basically impossible, but just setting your monitor up properly, setting your chair to the correct height, every once in a while you're playing, trying to remind yourself to maintain a good posture. Just applying those few things to your setup will make you a lot more comfortable while gaming, and if you're more comfortable, you'll be better at the game. And my tip number 3 for keyboard and mouse players is to play a ton of creative. When I spent 1 whole week learning keyboard and mouse, I got good enough to even hit Unreal rank while only using keyboard and mouse. But before even playing ranked, I spent basically an entire week, an entire 40 hours in creative. I was just non-stop free building, especially using this map, which you can find by just searching Carter 2K. It helps me out a ton. In the same map, I non-stopped 1v1 players. Just those 2 things can make you so good so fast. It's actually insane. It's because it's just high reps. You're just constantly reinforcing muscle memory, learning how to do new moves. And when you do get bored of that, go into more high action game modes like Zone Wars, free-for-alls. Doing exactly this without even touching public match lobbies led me to getting actually really good within just 1 week of learning keyboard and mouse. To watch me learn keyboard and mouse in just 1 week, click here, or click here to see how I learned keyboard and mouse on console. Consider subscribing, and thanks for watching.